haven't spoken to Coach on it, but I'm excited to get out there. I'm sure there'll be some jitters and some rust, but it'll be good to get out there with the guys.
And I'm excited to be here, Labs.
The band's back together. I remember you.
You do? Good.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll get through this first show?
Let's hope.
Okay. Welcome to Steelers Live, everybody. I'm Missi Matthews. He's Bob Labriola. That was quarterback Ben Roethlisberger talking about the third preseason game. Finally back at home after being on the road for the first two. Tennessee Titans, 4 p.m. on Saturday. And we know we're going to see Ben. We just don't know how much or what the exact plan is yet.
Yeah, and I think we'll see all of the frontline players who are physically capable of playing. There's been others, who have been held out: Antonio Brown, Cam Hayward, Marquise Pouncey,
Joe Hayden.
Yeah. So, I remember back in the day, the fourth preseason game used to be the dress rehearsal. Then it changed to the third. I don't know exactly why, but that's what it is. And so we'll see a lot of these frontline guys that we were just talking about Saturday against the Titans, and then we will not see them at all against the Carolina Panthers the following Thursday.
All right, Coach Tomlin's press conference is tomorrow. That's when we'll probably get a better idea of his plan for Ben Roethlisberger and company. Here's Ben yesterday talking about his ideal situation for the third game.
Just to get out there. I think usually the amount of plays determines how we do series-wise. Are you going 3 and out? Are you sustaining drives, things like that? So obviously this is the first time we all will be together on the field at the same time. So it'd be nice to put together a couple drives and then find a way to finish them off and stay healthy.
And we saw them do that going back to 2016. That was down in New Orleans. Ben had 148 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 to Jesse James, 1 to Antonio Brown, then take him off the field and let the other guys go in.
Right, and when you're playing a quarterback like Ben Roethlisberger for a limited amount of time, they're gonna put the ball in his right hand, let him throw it a little bit, let him throw it to the guys he's going to be throwing it to in the regular season. So I think again we'll see the people together early in that Titans preseason game who are going to be together throughout the opener on September 9th in Cleveland.
As you said, limited time for Ben, AB, Juju. James Washington, though, is someone we've seen get a little bit more practice time, especially starting Sunday at Family Fest at Heinz Field with Roethlisberger. Anticipate any of that maybe in the third game?
Yeah, I would imagine that James Washington will be utilized, in some of the personnel groupings when they go to multiple wide receivers with Ben Roethlisberger. There makes no sense not to play him with Ben, since I believe that what James Washington has shown in the first 2 preseason games, that he's certainly capable of having a role with this offense early in the season. So, yeah, you want, as I said earlier, you want the people playing together who you want to be playing together well when the games start counting. So, it was kind of the opposite when in 2004 when Ben was a rookie, because they didn't put him with the frontline wide receivers. He wasn't playing with Hines Ward and those kind of people early on in training camp and in the preseason. And then when his abilities started showing themselves and Charlie Batch went on IR and Ben became the number 2 quarterback, you started seeing him with, as Mike Tomlin would say, with more guys on the varsity. There's 2 ways you get on the varsity or get to play with the varsity. You show yourself to do well when you're on the JV, or if injuries happen, next man up, then you get an opportunity there as well.
All right, let's take a listen to Washington in the locker room.
Looking forward to it. He's definitely a Hall of Fame quarterback. So, just to get some snaps with him means a lot to me, first off. But, just like I say, I got to prove to him that I'm, learning each and every day.
All right, and sticking with wide receiver news, this is some not good news, Labs. Yesterday, Steelers general manager Kevin Colbert released the following statement saying that Eli Rodgers has been suspended for the first game. So we know he's been on PUP. We haven't seen a lot from him because of that injury at the end of last season, but not a good way to start it off. I don't think he was going to probably play in Cleveland, even if this did not help him, but suspended for 1 game.
Yeah, and I don't think he was probably going to be on the 53-man roster. Excuse me, that the Steelers were going to reveal on September the 1st. I don't think Eli Rodgers' knee is quite ready for that yet. The way that it all happened, I have believed all along since the day the Steelers signed him when we were up in Latrobe that he would open the season on the physically unable to perform list and miss the first 6 games of the regular season just because of that. So I'm not really exactly 1,000% sure how this impacts that, but I think the impact would be minimal.
All right, time for a quick break. When we return, we'll talk about roster cuts and what's ahead for the Steelers in the next week. All right, we are a little over a week away from final roster cuts. We know it goes from 90 straight to 53, taking place on Saturday, September 1st at 4 p.m. New York time, Labs. How to say it just like that, just for you.
Well, that's the NFL does New York time because their offices are in New York and, you know, they're afraid that.
We'll say Pittsburgh time then.
How
Same
about
thing.
Eastern Daylight Time, which is actually what it is, but.
All right, let's take a look at the roster as it stands today. This is a breakdown by position of how many players are at said position. And a little fun fact, Labs, I stole this one from you though. 55 out of the 90 guys currently on the roster are eligible for the practice squad. I thought that was a little crazy.
Yeah, and some of the names that are on there, you know, the practice squad eligibility to me is a lot like figuring out the compensatory draft picks. It's too complicated for me. I just wait till they announce it, and then I'll tell you what it is. Yeah, but when you're looking at, you know, these numbers of players, you know, the Steelers keep 3 quarterbacks. We know that that's a given. But some of the other positions, really, you know, it's not necessarily going to turn out the way it always has. For example, tight end. Okay, there's 6 tight ends on the roster now, and the Steelers usually keep 3. However, what you have this particular summer is that Xavier Grimble and Vance McDonald are both nursing minor injuries. Now, Kevin Colbert has said recently that he expects both of those guys to be ready for the regular season opener against the Cleveland Browns. But, you know, with these kinds of injuries, you can be hopeful, you can, you know, kind of know, but you can't be absolutely certain. And so one of the things that teams face, and we're talking here about the Steelers specifically in this situation, is, you know, you want to play a bunch of the time on offense with 2 tight ends. So if you have, if 2 of your 3 that you were going to keep are injured and possibly unable to play in the opener, then you have to keep more players at that position in order to have enough for game day. So if you keep more players at tight end, for example, 4, say maybe 5, I don't know, I'm just throwing that out there, then you don't get to keep as many at some other positions. And this is, you know, one of the variations that the coaches and the GM really don't want to have to deal with. You would like to cut your roster and put the best 53 out there, but because of injuries, sometimes you have to be adaptable and add a couple here and take away a couple there because of that. So, you know, tight end is a position to watch. Let's hope that Vance McDonald and Xavier Grimble actually do get well enough that they're able to play against the Browns, and then that won't be an issue there. Now, 2 of the other positions on offense that I think are interesting to pay attention to are wide receivers and running backs. Now, running backs, the Steelers have kept in the recent past 4, and that includes Roosevelt Nix. So it's really 3 running backs and a fullback. Now, this year, you know, you have some interesting situations. I think Jalen Samuels is an interesting rookie. Stephen Ridley has shown some things as a veteran in this preseason. Fitz Toussaint is a Danny Smith favorite for his work on special teams. He's the personal protector on the punt team. So trying to figure out who stays, who goes in this position, I think is going to be related to figuring out who stays, who goes at wide receiver. And wide receiver in the recent past has been 6. So, and of those 6.
Are you going to keep Antonio Brown?
Yeah, I might even start him, I think.
Good.
But Darius Hayward-Bay is a guy who doesn't play a lot of wide receiver, but is another of Danny Smith's go-to special teams guys. So, you know, I believe the way it's going to turn out with wide receivers and running backs, there's going to be 10 total. If it's 4 running backs, and then it could be 6 receivers. But if they decide to keep 5 running backs, then it might only be 5 receivers. And again, the bottom rungs of each depth chart at each position, you're looking at guys who are going to help you significantly on special teams. Now, a guy that could really throw a wrench into this particular scenario, in my mind, is Quadri Henderson. Say he returns 1 for a touchdown Sunday against the Titans and 1 for a touchdown next Thursday against the Carolina Panthers. Guess what, boys and girls? He will be on the 53-man roster. And so that takes up a wide receiver spot that you might give to someone else who I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and cut anybody or put anybody on the bubble because I really don't know. But these are the kinds of things to be paying attention to if you're going to play the game, guess the 53-man roster.
All right, let's take a look at the few weeks ahead coming up. As we mentioned, cuts taking place on September 1st. That's a Saturday by 4 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow, though, Coach Tomlin's press conference approximately 12:45 p.m. here at the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex. We'll find out a little bit about his plans for Game 3. That's taking place Saturday at Heinz Field, 4 p.m. Then Thursday, the final game against the Carolina Panthers. Kickoff set for 7:30, and then before you know it, Labs will be getting on the buses and heading up to Cleveland for Week 1.
To visit the stars of Hard Knocks. One other thing, you mentioned the 55 guys among the 90 who are practice squad eligible. Cuts, as Missi said, have to be in by 4 o'clock Saturday, September the 1st. Then those guys are on waivers until noon Sunday, September the 2nd, and that's when the team can start putting together its 10-man practice squad.
All right, that is the very latest here from the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m.